is a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim.
Harry just can't give her anything else anymore. He served his purpose. His purpose is over.
He entered this world like a legend written in gold, the flawless, golden-haired prince who once made the whole world believe in magic. Cameras loved him, crowds adored him, and every move felt like destiny unfolding. But now that same prince walks beneath a darker light, a man haunted by silence, shrinking behind a shadow that isn't his own. Because somewhere along the way, something cracked not loud, but deep, invisible, and it's been spreading ever since.
We'll take her royal kids, who can still go by prince and princess, and find
that famous smile, the one that once lit up palaces and melted hearts, now flickers like a dying flame. The light in his eyes? Gone, replaced by a quiet ache he can't disguise. And the rebel prince who once mocked royal traditions now pauses before every word, as if waiting for approval to breathe.
He slipped from what was the natural person who everyone in Britain loved and saw this.
What really happened to Prince Harry? How did the world's boldest royal, the soldier who defied the crown, the humanitarian who touched millions, the free spirit who refused to bow, become the quiet, uncertain man we see today? Some whisper it's love. Others say it's control dressed as devotion. But behind palace doors, experts are calling it something far more disturbing, the unmistakable pattern of psychological manipulation. They point to the woman the tabloids paint as a destroyer, the one estranged from her own family, rejected by her husbands, and mistrusted by the very public that once adored her. The evidence, they say, is chilling. The isolation, the drained spirit, the vanishing confidence, the eerie transformation of a man who once burned with purpose now dimmed to obedience. Because this isn't a royal romance anymore. It's a slow, methodical unmaking. A lesson in how even the most beloved figure can be pulled apart, piece by piece, until the mirror no longer reflects who they used to be.
It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it.
Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see 10 chilling red flags that prove Prince Harry may not be living a royal dream at all, but enduring a quiet, calculated form of emotional captivity. And once you see it, you'll never look at those smiling photos the same way again. It always begins in silence, not with shouting or scandals, but with gentle distance disguised as boundaries. Slowly, that distance deepens. Then comes the disconnection. Then the isolation. For Harry, it started the moment his orbit narrowed to one person, when his universe shrank from a brotherhood of laughter to a circle of one voice. One influence. One center of gravity. The friends who once filled his world with noise and camaraderie? Gone. His extended family, the kingdom that once defined him? Pushed away. Even his oldest allies, the army mates who fought beside him, the loyal aides who'd follow him anywhere, vanished one by one. Each departure replaced by new faces, faces that smiled only when she did. And in the quiet that followed, the man once surrounded by the world was left alone in a palace of whispers.
Life, you know, and then Oprah Winfrey had met them once. She was a guest. The Clooneys, the guests. I mean, never met them before, but they were the guests. And, you know, I thought to myself, this all showbiz rubbish.
To the world, it looked like liberation, a prince breaking free, escaping the palace walls to finally live on his own terms. But real freedom doesn't come from cutting every lifeline. Beneath the glossy headlines of privacy and new beginnings, something else was unfolding, quiet, hidden, and deeply controlled. Those who study manipulation call it the whisper that changes everything. The moment she leaned in and said, "Harry, you and I could change the world," the hook was set. Not in malice, but in power. Because that's how dependency begins, one whisper at a time. You're told no one understands you, that your family's against you, that only I truly see you. And slowly, the walls go up. The brothers in arms fade. The duties, the laughter, the noise of royal life, all replaced by silence. Harry, once the soldier with purpose and mischief, the man who'd roar with laughter on the polo field, became an island, surrounded by sunshine but trapped in shadow. Even his bond with William, once the strongest thread in the royal tapestry, began to fray. The world saw tension, interviews, confessions, but behind it all was a psychological chess game. The shrinking circle, the single voice, the illusion of freedom wrapped in love's disguise. When William found balance in Kate, their relationship naturally evolved, but Harry's took a different turn. And by the time California glittered in the distance, the transformation was complete. No palace, no brother, no father, just the illusion of choice. The tragedy? Most victims never see it coming. Isolation doesn't feel like a cage at first. It feels like safety until the walls start whispering back. Now, in Montecito's golden quiet, Harry sits surrounded by perfection yet plagued with stillness. What's my purpose? Who am I without them? The once rebellious prince, the man who laughed at tradition, now speaks with careful pauses, like every word must pass through unseen approval. The spark that once made him unpredictable, wild, free, human, now flickers beneath a constant need to please. The boy who once broke royal rules now looks like a man afraid to break his silence.
The way that I saw it was, there is a way of doing things, but for us, for this union and the specifics around her race.
The one person he now seems desperate to please is Meghan. The shift was subtle at first, a glance, a pause, a smile that waited for approval. But to those watching closely, the change was unmistakable. The confident prince who once lit up rooms began to fade into the background of his own story. For nearly 7 years, Harry has been the silent third presence, standing beside William and Kate, yet somehow always behind them. In public, Meghan takes the lead, speaking first, guiding the conversations, sometimes cutting in mid-sentence. Experts call it dominance through interruption, a quiet way of claiming power without ever raising a voice. Harry, once proud of being the spare, now finds himself living the title. He used to stand just behind his brother. Now he stands just behind his wife. His shoulders slope inward, his gaze drops before speaking, and his words seem to wait for her approval. The man who once commanded stages across continents now hesitates, measuring every syllable as if afraid to get it wrong. Yes, love can change a person, but this isn't evolution. It's erasure. Meghan's presence hasn't expanded him, it's rewritten him. Friends describe him as tense, guarded, exhausted. The charm that once made him the world's favorite royal has been replaced with restraint and fear. When confidence is replaced by compliance, it's never by accident. It's control disguised as care. She painted herself as his savior from a cruel institution, yet somewhere along the way, she became the editor of his existence. The spontaneous, unfiltered Harry is gone, replaced by a man who sounds rehearsed, managed, curated. His once raw honesty now feels like press language, his laughter replaced by perfectly timed smiles. Meghan, with her media training and mastery of perception, has rewritten his narrative line by line, memory by memory, until it's hard to tell where his truth ends and her version begins. Look no further than Spare, his memoir, every page dripping with sorrow, anger, and a tone that feels carefully orchestrated. Her fingerprints are everywhere, in the phrasing, in the framing, in the transformation of pain into publicity. Insiders whisper that those confessions weren't healing, they were strategy. Every story, every tear, every secret became a currency. And slowly, the prince's voice was replaced by hers. His words mirror her tone, his memories echo her narrative. It's no longer partnership, it's possession. Harry, the once fiery rebel, now walks in the world as a ghost of himself, his story retold, his identity rewritten, his loyalty redirected. The man who once made the world believe in fairy tales now lives inside someone else's script, one where the hero is no longer him. And the most chilling part? He believes it. That's the genius of a narcissist's narrative. They don't just rewrite your story, they make you forget it was ever yours to tell. Control doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, wrapping itself in affection and calling itself love. I remember thinking, Harry once said, how could anyone handle the chaos that comes with me? And then she appeared, whispering that she could. But what looked like salvation became precision control. Every major decision, The exit from the monarchy, the family estrangement, the multi-million-dollar contracts all bear her unmistakable fingerprint, impulsive, dramatic, and perfectly timed for maximum impact. Those weren't Harry's instincts. They were Meghan's moves. Behind the cameras, insiders describe her as calm, strategic, always in charge. She chooses the stage, the story, the setting. And when Harry slips, when he says something unscripted, one look from her pulls him right back in line. It's not partnership. It's dominance disguised as care. What began as love has become performance. Harry, once the leading man of his own life, now plays a background role in her show. Their freedom was marketed as rebellion, but it's control in disguise. America didn't liberate him. It sealed the cage. Far from his blood, his advisors, his duty, the only approval that matters now is hers. The world calls them a power couple, but behind the gloss, the balance is an illusion. Meghan leads. Harry follows. That's the quiet tragedy. Those who've been close to her describe it perfectly. She pulls you in tight, holds you so close you can't breathe, and by the time you realize you can't escape, you've already mistaken suffocation for affection. What started as liberation turned into dependence. Meghan didn't free him from the palace. She built a softer, prettier cage, wrapped in affection and locked with manipulation. Look into his eyes and you'll see it, that hollow exhaustion no rest can cure. The once fearless, grounded prince now carries the look of a man who's been performing for peace. Every grin feels practiced. Every silence calculated. Because behind every smile sits tension, the kind that comes from years spent walking on eggshells, terrified to step wrong. And at the center of that tension stands Meghan, poised, polished, charming in public but exacting in private. She commands the narrative, consumes the spotlight, and shapes every breath around her. What does he even do in America? One insider asked. We see Meghan cooking, Meghan giving interviews, Meghan on every platform, and Harry? He's just there. Friends whisper that he's drained, mentally fragile, confused, worn down by the constant cycle of drama. Every controversy tied to her becomes his burden to defend. Every critique of her feels like a personal wound. It's the perfect loop, exhaust the victim until submission feels safer than resistance. Now, Harry's emotional energy is currency, spent protecting her image while his own sense of self crumbles. Therapy sessions, confessions, visible anxiety, all symptoms of a man unraveling. But instead of offering comfort, Meghan seems to weaponize his openness, turning his pain into proof of her compassion. His exhaustion isn't just physical, it's spiritual. The man who once fought for veterans and wounded children now struggles to fight for himself. The cruelest part? The world can see it. The boy who once burned with rebellion now flickers as a cautious, curated man. His identity, soldier, brother, son, free spirit, has been rewritten into her fairy tale of the misunderstood heroine and her broken prince. Watch any interview. Meghan speaks with assurance, command. Harry echoes her words, repeating her phrases like a well-memorized script. It's not conversation, it's choreography. That's not love. It's psychological editing. His rugged authenticity replaced by softness and polish. His humor replaced by hesitation. His individuality slowly erased by constant correction. She hasn't just changed how he acts, she's rewritten who he's allowed to be. Because the cruelest kind of control isn't silencing a man, it's making him forget that his voice ever mattered. And somewhere, behind that quiet, carefully packaged version of Prince Harry, the old spark still flickers. Small, desperate, and fading fast. There are still cracks in the armor, fleeting moments when the mask slips. A nervous laugh, a shadow of regret, a flash of the man who once defied royal rules with charm and courage. But each time that spark appears, Meghan reels him back with the ease of someone who knows exactly which strings to pull. She doesn't raise her voice or argue. She doesn't have to. Her control lives in silence, in the way one glance from her can stop his words midair. That's not love. It's conditioning. Those close to him whisper that behind closed doors, Harry lives in constant conflict, torn between the loyalty he feels and the identity he's lost. He knows the man in the mirror isn't the same one he used to be. Yet every attempt to rediscover himself risks her disapproval. She's built a paradox around him, convincing him that freedom means obedience and that surrender is proof of devotion. That's the cruelest trick of all, a mind that can't tell the difference between love and control. In public, his face tells the story she won't let him speak. His voice defends her, but his eyes plead for escape. The more uncertain he becomes, the tighter her grip grows. And the saddest truth? He still thinks this is his choice. Meghan has sealed every door back to who he was, convincing him that walking away from her would mean betraying the only person who understands him. That's how control survives, by making the prison feel like protection. When Harry first met Meghan, he saw charm, beauty, danger, a woman he wanted to save from the very press that once haunted him. But now he's the one who needs saving. What the world sees isn't just the fall of a prince, it's the slow unraveling of a man who once had the world at his feet. Meghan didn't simply enter his story, she rewrote it. Brick by brick, word by word, until the walls around him vanished into comfort. What began as love became loyalty built on fear, devotion forged in dependency. The bright, confident royal who once laughed freely now smiles like a man performing for peace, breathing carefully so the silence doesn't shatter. Yet somewhere, buried deep beneath the exhaustion, the soldier still breathes. The brother, the dreamer, the boy who believed love could heal instead of control. Whether he finds his way back depends on one thing, whether he sees the pattern for what it truly is. Because real love doesn't isolate you. It doesn't silence you. It sets you free. Until he realizes that the world will keep watching, not the fairy tale of a royal couple, but the tragedy of a prince lost inside someone else's story. And if you want to know where that story truly began, don't miss our deep dive into Meghan's Soho House beginnings, the secret chapter that started it all. You're watching Star Spotlight, where truth meets the untold. Subscribe, stay alert, because in the world of fame and power, every smile hides a secret.